Hi, and welcome everybody to the Next Level Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ant-Man Z, joined by my main man, former player and coach, Andrew Crash Nash. We're here today bringing you the good, the bad, and the ugly from Wild Card Weekend. Now, before we get started, if you found this channel, we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a like, a follow, a subscribe, all that stuff that's needed to help the YouTube algorithm for the channel to grow. We would just appreciate it if you did that for us. In today's episode, we're going to look back at what happened in Texas with the wild card matchup with the Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Crash, your initial thoughts on the game. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, first and foremost, I owe Coach Ryan's, CJ, and all his staff an apology.
Yeah.
To my defense also, and you kind of know this, that I was, I got more involved and started watching college football. I got off of the NFL actually because I was so disappointed in the Texans after Nico Collins went down. I mean, I picked them to win this year's Super Bowl, man. Okay. So in short, finally, we got to see who the Texans truly are in a complete football game. That's the Houston Texans I know.
That's a good take. And we did get to see that. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't something good, something bad, and something ugly that happened on that field, was there? There's a lot of that. So I think what I'll do is I'll give you my take first on what I thought was good, bad, and ugly in this game. And then I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you found in that. I say I'm in agreement with you. The good is that the Houston Texans showed up, right? This is an offense that pretty much all season struggled when their main man, Joe Mixon, wasn't on the field. When Joe Mixon isn't on the field, this is a completely different offense that doesn't know what to do. They're very one-dimensional, and they just have a hard time moving the ball. So I would say the good of this game was that the Houston Texans found their offensive rhythm again. They found Nico Collins. They were able to work him in. Even Tank Dell being down didn't kill them the way that we thought it might. And Joe Mixon is able to step up and be that big-time player that they wanted him to be. What do you think? What's your goods from this game?
Well, it was finally CJ being protected, CJ finally being comfortable, and CJ finally, brother, thank you, Jesus, utilizing using his legs to extend plays. The brother can do that. And we saw that in this game. And I've been preaching it all the way back to the 4th, 5th week. Brother, relax. And also game scheming and planning, the marvelous job coming into the game. And, of course, their elite defense.
Yeah, you can't take anything away from that defense. That edge pass rush is just absolutely nightmarish, which leads me to my bad. I thought what was bad in this game was the game plan of Jim Harbaugh. He's played CJ Stroud a couple different times at the collegiate level, and I thought that they might be able to have a little bit of a bead on where this was going to go and know how to contain CJ and, really put him off his game and his rhythm. None of that happened, mainly because the Texans defense just was absolutely nightmarish against whatever offensive game plan that the Chargers came in with. I don't even know if we ever got to see one. They were so one-dimensional in this game that nothing ever transpired. It was just a bad game plan. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I have to go, I have a saying that coaches coach, players play. As a coach, you can only do so much, right? But I will say this to Coach Harbaugh's account and his credit. He did have his guys coming out to play, and I can right out the gate, the energy, the effort was there right out the gate. We can see that with the kickoff return, forced fumble, okay, by them. So I can, to his credit, I can give him credit for that. So, but I'm with you on this. I just expected more. Come on, Jim, I really did. Just win the national championship, and coming in here, I just really expected more from coach and then continued effort from the Chargers.
Yeah, I think the bad thing was, and I know you'll agree with me on this because this is one of your fortes, when you abandon the running game, even when it's unsuccessful, you make your team so one-dimensional that you really, in this case especially, played into the Texans' strength, which is their pass rush. And when you're in 3rd and long all day long, you're going to find yourself in trouble. That was definitely bad.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just not really sure what's going on in some of these coaches' heads, and this is constructive criticism. As a game planner, as an offensive coordinator, and as somebody that knows defense as well, I call them counters. I kind of always, take something else in life, my experiences like MMA and boxing that I've done as well, to implement it on the football field. And it's kind of like that. It's kind of like you got to have a counter, right?
Right.
You got to have a counter in boxing or fighting, right? It's the
Yep.
same analogy or the same philosophy. You got to have a counter for all that pressure. What's your counter? You got to give a counter. You can't be one-dimensional, but also more screenplays. Maybe it's, allow them to come in and then we just dump it off in the tunnel screen in the middle, something like that. And we're not seeing enough of that in both college and professional
You're absolutely
football.
right. You've called that in the last couple games too, as a matter of fact, that every single time it's been to the detriment of the team that didn't do it. If you look here on the screen, this was the scene that I think we saw all day long. Just Justin Herbert under pass rush pressure all day long, which led him, correct me if I'm wrong, Crash, I think this is my ugly. Ugly was him throwing 4 interceptions.
Well, hey, look, he's under duress. Come on. You already know that, though. You know what the Texans are. You know coming into this that they've got a great defense. I don't care about CJ and the offense and their hiccups. We all know that despite it all, they're one of the best defense, aggressive, and they got great pass rushers. It's probably some 2 of the best. So you got to already have those adjustments. You already got to have the football game. You can't put it all off on your quarterback.
Right, absolutely. So for me, my good was the Texans finding their offensive rhythm finally, and of course, their defense. That defense was stout. That was the 2 goods. If you're the Houston Texans, I think you're going into this week against the Kansas City Chiefs with a lot more confidence than you went into this game against the Los Angeles Chargers, because I think you found your rhythm, so to speak, and you're kind of back on your horse. That's the good for me. What was your good, Crash, in this game?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be in agreement, of course. I think the whole country will also. Hey, listen, man, they're back. If they left, they're back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're back right at the right time because they're getting ready to face a foe. Let's face it, is the strongest in the AFC. Most can say.
A team going for their 3-peat. Yep.
Yeah, man.
What did you think of this guy? What did you think of this guy?
Hey, man, can I give you a hug, bro, through this? Okay, can we give you a high five, brother, from one ex-linebacker to the next? My man, you finally put all the pieces together. All right, the chess match. Kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos, Coach Ryan.
Yeah, I give them a lot of props. I think that they're really starting to come together as a team. We saw the beginning of that last year. There were glimmers of hope with CJ as a rookie quarterback. And, D'Amico is such a defensive-minded coach, but he's let CJ develop nicely. But if you put a defensive unit on the field like he has and performances like they had on Saturday, I don't think there's anybody in the NFL that can beat. Crash, you say it all the time. What wins championships?
The big D, baby.
Right. Defense. And right now, their defense looks like it might be absolutely unstoppable if they can play like that. And we've seen that happen in the past, haven't we? We've seen a team get hot defensively and be able to carry their way all the way through to the Super Bowl. I think specifically of those 2003 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and also the 1999, I believe, Baltimore Ravens. Neither of those teams had great quarterback play. They had efficient quarterback play, but what they did have was defenses that got hot in the playoffs, and you just couldn't move the ball on them.
Yeah, and to that, that's what I believe that was happening on their offense as well. I pointed out some of the crunch bunch up formations.
Yeah.
But here's a take for you as an ex-football player and coach. Watch this one. I believe CJ was trying to be a hero. I believe the young man was really trying to press. He was trying to do too much. And now all of a sudden we saw in this game, he was relaxed, man. We're not asking you to go ahead and go for home runs every time. We're going to put you in a situation. If it's not there, your first, second progressions, use your leg, kiddos. Go ahead and extend the play. Let's tire out the defense. Let's just get it in small increments. And that's exactly what they did.
Absolutely. And when you have Joe Mixon over there, number 28, that's able to do so much. God. He's a guy that the first player always seems to miss him. He makes that first guy miss, which, Crash, that's the game, isn't it? If you can put a man one-on-one in space and he can make the first guy miss, that turns negative plays into 7, 8, 9, 15 yards. That changes the game.
You know what amazes me about him, man, and I was high and big on him. I've always been a Joe Mixon fan just because of his style of running. I mean, he doesn't if he's getting ready to go, if it's a first down, he's not going out of bounds. He's lowering his shoulder at you and going to go through you.
Right.
And he's still doing that at his age. I love him, man. He loves football, and he's a straight dog.
Yep. What do you think of this picture here? Now, for our viewers,
well, you're doing it to me too.
Huh? Yeah, tell us the history behind this picture right here. What's going on?
Well, I guess so. Rexy boy, he said something. He lost hope and faith in him, and he kind of slandered their name, right, and threw him under the bus. And I think old JoJo is kind of, hey, we remember us. So he's kind of giving him some food for thought here. Hey, Rex.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I believe didn't he put that on his Instagram back to at Rex?
Yeah, I think he put this up on his Instagram live. So it's just hysterical. He's got his cigar there, his celebratory cigar, and making sure that he sees the cherry fully lit as he tags Rex Ryan, former coach, in it, and says, "Coach, I'm back. We're back. We're ready to do this."
Yeah, man.
So it'll be interesting to see. So I think we're both in agreement, right? The good in this game was both the reemergence of the Houston Texans offense and then just their defense stepping up and being able to play at a higher level than they did all year. Not that they were a bad defense. They were a great defense all year. They got the best pass rush in the NFL, but there's another level that you have to find in playoff football, and they found it in this game. So we're in agreement with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Good. And then I think we said we're in agreement with the bad too, right? The bad was that the Los Angeles Chargers had nothing. They had no answer for anything that the Texans were doing. They became very one-dimensional, and that just turned to ruin.
Which I kind of, here again, to my criticism, my constructive criticism.
Sure.
Here's the deal, Ant. As a coach, you have to go the X's and O's. You have to go through all the formula, everything. You also have to ask the what ifs. What if you have to go over the what if game plans? And I really don't believe that the intellectual mind of some of these coaches are really extending further out and doing those things, because we're seeing it in mid game or late games. They don't know how to adjust or finish.
Yep. Crash, it's so funny you say that, because we've done all these games now as pre-games for both college and the NFL. And in every single one of them, you've mentioned the analogy of boxing, where you take a punch, you counter punch. You have to learn to adjust to what your opponent's doing. And you can please correct me if I'm wrong, but what I saw in these games over the wild card weekend so far is that if your initial game plan didn't work, you were left holding the bag. There was no answer. There was no adjusting. There was no anything to counter what your opponent was doing. It was like, well, this is what we came in with, and we're going to continue to try to do it come hell or high water, even if it brings us to our ultimate doom, which in this case it did.
Well, yeah, if you don't have an answer, if you haven't gone through those things already as a head coach and all staff, okay, and you haven't done those things in practice, well, how are you going to do it in the game? You've got to expand your thought process and say, okay, what if this happens? I've said it before. We'll go over that again about going through it on fourth down. That's something you just don't do all of a sudden in a game. You go over that in practice.
Right. Yeah. You can't be just making that decision on the fly. It better be something that you've practiced so much that when it comes game time, you're just ready to roll with what you're used to. Practice makes perfect, they say.
Absolutely, brother.
And then I think there's no argument in this, is there? The ugly of this game is Justin Herbert with four interceptions. Crash, did he not have 2 on the year or 3 on the year coming in. So he came in with 3 on the year, and he leaves a playoff game throwing more interceptions in this game than he threw all year long. That's disheartening, and quite frankly, it's ugly.
It sounds like a perfect storm to me, right? It seems like there was a perfect storm waiting to happen. It was it the mind of Coach Ryan's, and then the non-mind of
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, coming into this, but also there goes the adjustments. But and one of these plays, quite a few of these plays, but I was going to have you draw it up if you could. They were in empty backfield, right? So you're not giving him. You already know that they're bringing pressure. They've already been bringing pressure all game long, right? So why? So okay, I get that you're trying to spread it out, right?
Right.
Instead of getting an 11 personnel with a tight end. But you could see it clearly. They're coming off the edge. They took a couple just straight shots at him, bro.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
No help at all.
No, there really wasn't any. Let me bring up a screen here real quick, and that way our viewers can see what we're talking about. It's unfortunately I don't have one from this game, but it'll just give us an idea of what an empty back formation looks like, so we can kind of explain that to the viewers. Is that a good one right there for you?
Yeah, can you bring that up a little bit higher?
Yeah, let's see if we can blow that up a little bit.
So you got trips on the left there. That's called trips when you have okay, so and even that's okay. So you see down here below us the slot kind of like two receivers down here that on deuces down here. Yeah,
these guys,
right, the next right there, him.
Yep.
They even had him out further, so it was like there was absolutely nobody helping the right tackle, and the guy came right straight off the edge and took a clear shot at him. Man, that happened not just once, two, quite a bit of times in this game.
Right, and if this was the Texans line that's right here, you've got Danielle Hunter coming here. He was a 20-sack guy a year ago. I think he had 12 this year. And then you got Will Anderson coming off of this edge. He had 17 last year. He's got 14, I think, this year. I mean, that's just – and there's no one back there. If any move is made, a spin move, a swim move, a stunt blitz comes from the inside, you leave your quarterback completely hung out to dry in there, and that is why he was getting killed all day long. Quite frankly, that is fixable, but it was ugly, Crash.
Yeah,
it was ugly. It was ugly.
Yeah, it's fixable. I mean, why all of a sudden, look, you just said the numbers, they don't lie. This guy only had how many interceptions? And then in one game, in one game, he surpassed that? Yeah. Something's not right here, folks. And it's just not that they are a great defense. Houston's got a great defense now. Okay. Remember, but there is something else going on the other side as well. Okay.
Yeah. I think it comes back to our bad. I think the bad was the Chargers did not have a great game plan coming in, and then there was no adjustment from them. And that's just bad. And they were never put in a position where they could even really be in this game. Even though the score was tight for most of the game, it really wasn't, was it, Crash?
Oh, no, not from the jump. I talk about this a lot, and it's so vitally important. Energy, right? Yeah. Coming into a game, energy, effort, physicality. And the Houston Texans and some other teams you're going to talk about had that coming into the ball game.
They did. And don't forget, they were able to overcome, like you said, that first play turnover, which you would think, hey, if you're the Chargers, that's the perfect scenario. We're kicking the ball off, and now we have the ball. Let's take advantage of that. And the Texans did not let that steal their mojo from them, did they?
Yeah, they recovered quickly. That's well said point also. If there is a hiccup, you recover quickly like it never happened. You go to the next play.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you in our closing thoughts here. If you're a Chargers fan and you're going into the offseason, what do you look forward to? What is there that you see that has potentiality for the future?
Well, first of all, you got to go back to the last game, right? Because they're not going to think about your record. They're going to always remember the last game, right?
Yep.
Rightly so. So they have to go ahead and go back to the basics. They have to see what did we not do and do right? What happened here? And get those things fixed, because for the most part, they got the framework, they got the groundwork built, right?
Yeah,
But in those moments, we got to find out what is going on here, what improvements need to be done. Is it
absolutely.
coaching? It could be coaching.
Yeah.
Okay. And or it could be player and staff. So those are the things in the offseason. And Harbaugh will get it together. Listen, this guy, he did a phenomenal job, right? Coming right back up out of college into the NFL and took his team to the playoffs. Kudos to Coach Harbaugh.
Exactly. I agree with you on that. And to touch on that point that you just made, I think they're going to be okay coming into the next season because Harbaugh knows that he needs to build a running game. It was the one thing that even though they tried to run the ball a lot this year, they weren't that successful at it. And that's Harbaugh's style of football, is to have a solid running game and play a solid defense and do ball control. And they obviously in this last game, that got completely flipped on its head. They never had control of the ball. They never had control of the momentum. They were never able to control the line of scrimmage. And that's what I think he'll be looking for in the offseason. And I'm looking forward to see what they do because Harbaugh is a little bit of a mastermind. And I know he's going to crank something up. And
I know you just gave me you just planted a seed. You just sparked a fire inside of me. Watch this.
Okay.
Yeah, here's a thought for you. And we're not even at the draft. You and I will go over that.
Yeah.
Genty? Do I see Genty in the future?
Yeah.
Whoa.
They're going to have what, pick 20, I believe it is. It looks like the Steelers might be looking for a running back in that position too. But if you're the Los Angeles Chargers and you've got that pick, I don't think you pass that guy up. I think he'd be a game changer on your roster.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Now, thoughts of the Houston Texans going into the next game. And we'll do a whole, for any of you guys that are looking forward to us doing a game preview, we're going to give you a whole game preview of the Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. But what are your initial thoughts right off the top of your head about them going into that game?
Well, they're back. If they've never left, they're here. This is the Houston Texans that had to show up and had to be who they are. And they're here. And I'm going to tell you something. Like you was giving some hints, man. Kansas City, they better be ready because I'm telling you, they're gonna have their hands full. I truly believe with the Houston Texans. That's all I'm going to say for right now.
I'm in full agreement with you on that, Crash. I believe that if the Houston Texans are able to bring that level of defense into Kansas City, the Chiefs might just find themselves in some trouble. Now, I say that tongue-in-cheek because they've been in trouble almost every game this year. Every game this year for the Kansas City Chiefs seems like it's come down to the end, and Mahomes just finds a way to win. It's going to be DeMeco Ryan finding a way to stop Mahomes in the big plays or Mahomes finding ways to overcome whatever the Texans are throwing at.
Well, people figure you out. You can only hold on for so long. And what we're seeing is, you know why they're winning just barely? Because their drives are just barely going down there. They're not explosive like they used to be. No, they're figuring out. Now that's a mastermind of their coaching staff and Coach Reed. They're utilizing working with what they have, and it's working.
And
but
Coach
their time, they're on the clock, baby. They're on the clock.
You heard it here first, folks. We'll give you a full breakdown of that game coming up soon. We appreciate you listening to this one. Make sure to subscribe and follow, like, share, all that stuff. That helps us out tremendously. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you in the next one. God bless.
God bless. Happy Monday.